You know that feeling when you are walking down a crowded sidewalk, minding your own business, and maybe you're holding a fresh cup of coffee, and out of nowhere, someone just bumps right into you, like hard.
Oh, yeah. The immediate spike of adrenaline and that instant, almost microscopic calculation of exactly who is at fault in that fraction of a second.
Right. It's practically a reflex.
Yeah.
Your brain immediately builds this tiny courtroom in your head where you become the prosecutor, the judge, and the star witness all at once.
Exactly. You think, well, I was walking in a perfectly straight line and they were clearly distracted by their phone, so, I am the aggrieved victim here, and they owe me a profound apology.
We all do it.
We do. It is our most basic human instinct for justice, or, at the very least, our biological instinct for self-preservation and ego defense.
Yeah, we have this deep-seated evolutionary need to establish our innocence and highlight the other person's guilt just to maintain our social standing.
Right, to protect our place in the group.
But what if you completely dismantled that courtroom? What if your immediate unthinking reaction to being undeniably wronged by someone else was not to build a case against them, but to instantly take the blame yourself?
Now, that is a profoundly radical proposition. It goes against almost every single defensive mechanism we've spent a lifetime building up.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a short but honestly deeply challenging philosophical text written by Feng in November 2023.
Yes, it is titled The Highest Realm of Cultivation.
Exactly. And the mission today, for you listening, is to look at a standard of human behavior that is so radically empathetic, so completely devoid of the human ego, that it might just completely upend your natural instincts.
It really is a fascinating study of ethics and human psychology, because Feng essentially builds his entire philosophical framework around two sharply contrasting, very everyday anecdotes.
Right, rather than just giving us dense abstract theory.
Exactly. Through these stories, he bypasses the abstract stuff and defines exactly what it means to be a spiritually mature individual, or, in this a specific terminology of his text, a true cultivator.
So to really grasp this philosophy of the cultivator, we have to start with the core story that sparked the author's reflection in the first place.
And I actually find the setup for this really intriguing because Shuvang admits right up front that the origin of the story is a bit hazy.
Yeah, he mentions it is a memory from more than 20 years ago,
Right.
like maybe told by an English Bible teacher, or perhaps he read it in an old issue of the American Reader's Digest.
Right, and that hazy origin almost gives it the feel of an urban legend or a modern fable.
It does.
By admitting he does not have the exact historical coordinates, it strips away the specific context. It turns the event into a pure archetype of human behavior.
It really asks us to look at the raw mechanics of the interaction. So let's look at those raw elements. Here is the archetype Feng presents. An elegant lady is walking down the street. And suddenly, from behind, a man riding a bicycle completely knocks her down.
Ouch. Yeah, it is a forceful collision.
Very forceful. The man realizes his mistake. He quickly scrambles to help her up, and he is just repeatedly saying, "I am sorry. I am sorry."
It is a standard accident, right? Like, we can all picture the panic of the cyclist and the shock of the pedestrian perfectly.
But here's the twist. The woman does not yell. She does not threaten to call the police or gather witnesses or anything like that.
No, she does not.
She just calmly shakes the dust off her clothes, looks at the man, and replies, "I am sorry. It was me who blocked your way."
Wow.
Right. She does not demand any compensation for her physical injuries. She does not claim mental distress. She does not even offer a mild reprimand.
Just, "I am sorry, it was me who blocked your way." It is a staggering response when you really sit with the psychological weight of it.
Okay, let's unpack this because I have to push back a little on her reaction.
Sure, go ahead.
Isn't this almost entirely unnatural? I mean, think about our modern fender bender culture.
Oh, absolutely.
If someone rear-ends your car or hits you from behind on a bike, your immediate instinct, and often your actual legal obligation for insurance purposes, is to assign blame, take photos, and demand compensation.
Right, we are explicitly taught to never ever admit fault if we were the one hit from behind.
Exactly. So taking the blame and implying the man was right, does not that just make her a doormat?
That is a fair question.
Like, how does Feng differentiate this highest realm of cultivation from just lacking self-respect or, basic personal boundaries?
Well, what is fascinating here is the crucial tension of the entire text. It is so easy to mistake yielding for weakness, but let's look at the mechanism of why she says it.
Okay, why does she?
Feng interprets her response not as passive submission, but as deeply intentional action. A doormat absorbs abuse because they feel they have no power or no worth. But this woman is acting from a position of immense internal power. She is actively choosing to absorb the blame, specifically to spare the man from his own spiraling guilt and public embarrassment.
Oh, I see. So she recognizes his panic.
Yes, and she uses her own psychological stability to neutralize the situation.
Wow.
According to the text, this complete and total absence of anger, of blame, or of any demands whatsoever is the very definition of the highest realm of cultivation.
Because her ego did not even factor into the equation, the author is explicitly setting her up as the ultimate role model.
Exactly. She basically recognizes that his nervous system is entirely hijacked in that moment.
He is probably terrified he hurt her and terrified of the public scene.
Right, and instead of compounding his fear with her own righteous anger, she short-circuits the whole dynamic.
But to do that, I mean, you have to be completely fundamentally unbothered by being perceived as wrong.
You have to be entirely detached from the need for external validation.
Which is incredibly hard.
It is. And to truly highlight just how rare and neurologically difficult the elegant lady's reaction is, we have to look at the second story Shui Feng provides.
Because to understand what a cultivator is, the author realizes we desperately need to see what a cultivator is not.
Yes, he provides a starkly contrasting memory to hold a mirror up to our more typical defensive human nature.
The anti-role model.
Precisely.
So this story jumps to a very specific memory from over 30 years ago. The author is on a road in Yuzhong County, in Lanzhou City.
And the text notes a crucial detail for us here. There were very few vehicles on this road. It's essentially quiet and empty.
Pay attention to that emptiness, right?
Right.
Because the physical space around them is key to understanding the psychology of what happens next.
Absolutely.
So in this quiet, open environment, the author suddenly hears the massive screeching sound of a truck's emergency brakes locking up right behind a bicyclist.
And instead of the driver just tapping his horn to offer a simple warning, or frankly just steering around the cyclist since the road is mostly empty.
Right. Instead of that, the truck driver sticks his head out the window and screams at the top of his lungs, "Are you looking to die?" Damn it. Just a pure, unfiltered explosion of rage.
It is completely absurd when you break down the physical reality. Think about the power dynamic there.
It is completely skewed.
The driver is encased in a massive metal truck. The other person is completely exposed on a bicycle.
And the driver has all the physical power, all the space on the empty road, and all he needed to do was use his horn or turn the wheel.
Yet he chose explosive, vitriolic anger. It is the ultimate archetype of modern road rage.
It really is.
And honestly, you see the exact same mechanism in internet rage today. Someone makes a minor mistake online and people default to furious, space-filling cursing when a mild correction would completely suffice.
That is a great comparison.
So why? Why does the human brain default to that nuclear option when we are the ones in the position of safety?
Well, it comes down to how our nervous system processes sudden vulnerability combined with ego projection. Okay, unpack that a bit.
The author explicitly uses this Lanzhou City memory to define the exact opposite of spiritual cultivation. Biologically, when that truck driver had to slam on his brakes, he experienced a sudden, intense rush of adrenaline and fear.
Because for a split second, he lost control of his environment.
Exactly. And the uncultivated human ego absolutely hates the feeling of vulnerability.
What does it do?
It instantly converts that internal fear into external anger. The driver takes his own internal physiological spike, weaponizes it, and projects it out the window to dominate the space with cursing.
Wow. So it is a desperate attempt to reclaim a feeling of power.
Yes, he is literally making his internal biological startle response the bicyclist's external problem.
And that is our default uncultivated state.
Sadly, yes.
So the elegant lady on the street absorbed an external problem, like a physical collision, and neutralized it internally through grace.
Right, whereas the truck driver took an internal problem, a momentary fright, and exploded it externally to punish someone else.
He represents the utter failure to manage one's own mental space.
Perfectly said.
We're looking at these two absolute extremes. You have the serene, unbothered pedestrian on one side, and the raging, explosive truck driver on the other.
The two ends of the spectrum.
But knowing that screaming out of a truck window represents a lack of cultivation is the easy part. How does Shui Feng suggest we actively unlearn that instinct?
Well, the text does not just leave us with two stories. It actually moves into laying out a specific step-by-step rulebook.
Like a ladder of ethical behavior.
Yes, he provides a clear progression of spiritual maturity, starting from basic social functioning and moving upward into profound psychological reprogramming.
So what does this all mean in practice? The baseline ethical standards he lays out seem pretty straightforward at first glance, almost like a standard social contract.
Right.
The text says a cultivator must refrain from scolding, hitting, hurting, annoying, harming, or provoking others. They have to communicate kindly and behave appropriately.
So far, we were talking about basic legal and social baseline liabilities. Just, don't cause chaos.
But then, the next level of what he calls spiritual maturity and mental breadth shifts from proactive grace to something much harder.
It really does jump up a notch.
It requires individuals to actively acknowledge their own mistakes and freely give credit to others.
That is where the friction begins. The baseline rules are about what you don't do. The maturity level is about what you are willing to concede.
Let's ground this in reality for a second, because the escalation here is incredibly steep.
It is.
Going from don't hit people to freely give away your own credit goes against all our professional conditioning.
Oh, entirely.
Think about the listener right now. Think about the last time you were sitting at your desk and you get CC'd on an email where a coworker subtly takes credit for a project or an idea that was entirely yours.
Oh, we have all been there.
What happens to your body? Your stomach drops, your heart rate spikes, you immediately start drafting a meticulously worded passive-aggressive reply to set the record straight and claim your win.
Of course, because we are taught that corporate survival depends on visible value.
Exactly. But Swething is asking us to stop typing, delete the draft, and just let them have the credit. How on earth does someone achieve that without feeling utterly robbed?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it requires a fundamental shift in how you measure your own worth.
Okay.
What Schweffing is describing here is the active dismantling of the ego's ledger system. Let's use an analogy.
I love analogies.
Think of your mind like the suspension system on a car. The baseline rules, like don't hit, don't scold, are like having a rigid frame.
Okay.
You hit a bump, meaning someone slights you, and you might not lash out and crash the car, but the whole chassis rattles. You feel every bit of that resentment internally.
So you are white-knuckling the steering wheel, just suppressing the urge to yell.
Right, you are biting your tongue, but you are still furious.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
It is, but the maturity level, acknowledging mistakes and giving away credit, is like installing a state-of-the-art shock absorber.
Ah, I see where you were going.
It means your internal suspension is so sophisticated that when you hit the bump of someone taking your credit, the cabin of the car remains completely smooth.
You do not feel robbed because your sense of self-worth is not attached to that specific piece of external credit anymore.
Exactly. You are expanding your mental breadth to make room for other people's dignity, even when they are acting out of insecurity.
Making room for other people's dignity. That is such a powerful framework.
It really is.
Because admitting a mistake is inherently a vulnerable act.
Yeah.
You are intentionally lowering your own status in the eyes of the group.
Yes.
And giving credit to someone else when you do the work is actively raising their status at the direct cost of your own recognition.
Right, so you have to possess an incredibly secure internal foundation to give away those social chips without panicking.
And that intermediate step, that shock absorber, is incredibly difficult for most of us to install.
Extremely difficult. But Xufeng does not stop there. Admitting mistakes and giving away credit is only the middle rung of the ladder in this philosophy.
Yet here is where it gets really interesting.
He pushes the boundaries of cultivation to an extreme final conclusion, which brings us all the way back to the mindset of the elegant lady on the sidewalk.
The ultimate standard. I have to admit, reading the author's definition for the absolute highest realm of cultivation left me a bit awestruck by the sheer weight of what is being asked.
It is heavy.
The text states that to reach this final peak, one must be willing to sacrifice their own honor, dignity, property, status, or even their life, specifically to protect the honor, dignity, property, status, or lives of others.
It is a breathtaking escalation from just being polite.
It fundamentally redefines the concept of sacrifice. I mean, it is one thing to let a stressed-out coworker take a win in a meeting.
Right, that is the shock absorber at work.
But sacrificing your own dignity, willingly discarding your structural reputation and your honor just to save someone else's face.
It is huge.
Think about the evolutionary imperative we have to protect our reputation at all costs, to let someone else believe they are right, to let the crowd witnessing the event believe you're entirely in the wrong, and to be completely genuinely at peace with that permanent loss of status. That is almost superhuman.
This raises an important question, though. How many of us could actually walk away from a situation where we sacrificed our own honor for someone else without harboring a deep, toxic, lingering sense of resentment.
Oh, that is the catch, isn't it?
Because if you sacrifice your status, but you spend the next 5 years secretly congratulating yourself for being so noble or silently resenting the person you saved, you have not actually reached that realm.
Right, you were just playing the martyr.
Exactly. The ego has just found a back door to feel superior.
Oh, that is a brilliant distinction. The highest realm is not about secretly feeling morally superior because you took the blame.
No, not at all.
It is about genuinely letting the concept of blame evaporate entirely. It requires the absolute death of the need to be right.
And this ties the ultimate definition perfectly back to the very first story we explored. Why does Zhu Feng point to the elegant lady as the flawless role model for the highest realm?
Because of what she did in that fraction of a second.
Yes. Without stopping to calculate the social cost, she instantly sacrificed her own rightness. She sacrificed her dignity as the aggrieved, injured party.
She allowed herself to take the blame for an accident she objectively did not cause, purely to shield the bicyclist from the crushing embarrassment, the guilt, and the panic of having knocked a woman down in public.
She shielded his honor by completely discarding her own.
And she did not just pretend she was okay. Her words actually shifted the reality of the accident to make him the victim of her clumsiness.
Right. I'm sorry, it was me who blocked your way.
Exactly.
She did not lose her life or her property in that moment, but she seamlessly gave up her status as the innocent victim. And she did it with complete, unshakable calm.
That is the ultimate mental breath Shuek is pointing to.
Her internal shock absorbers were so highly developed that the collision did not even register as a threat to her ego.
It completely reframes how we are conditioned to view strength in society.
It really does.
We usually think of strength as the truck driver. Loud, dominating, taking up physical space, demanding apologies, enforcing boundaries with aggression.
But the text argues that the truck driver is actually demonstrating profound psychological fragility.
Yes, true strength, the highest realm of human cultivation, is the ability to be completely soft.
To absorb the impact of the world.
To take the hits without ever needing to strike back, defend your ego, or even correct the public record.
It is a total inversion of how modern society views power and victimhood. We view the person who demands an apology as powerful and the person who apologizes as weak.
So true.
Shuifeng is telling us that the person who can apologize for something they did not do without suffering internal damage is the most powerful person in the room.
To summarize the journey we have taken you on today, we started with a hazy archetype memory of an elegant lady on a street who gets knocked to the ground and inexplicably apologizes to the man who hit her.
We contrasted her deeply serene, egoless reaction with the profound fragility of a furious truck driver in Lanzhou City over 30 years ago.
Right, the guy who used a massive vehicle to scream at a bicyclist over a momentary fright on an empty road.
And finally, we mapped out Shuifeng's profound ethical ladder.
And the ultimate takeaway for you listening, as you navigate your own crowded sidewalks and corporate emails, is that true cultivation is not just about polishing your social etiquette or biting your tongue.
No, it is a radical, foundational rewriting of the human nervous system and the ego. It starts with basic self-control, moves into the painful practice of freely giving away credit, and culminates in the ultimate, almost incomprehensible willingness to permanently sacrifice your own honor, status, and even your life, purely for the sake of someone else's dignity.
It is heavy, challenging stuff, but it absolutely changes how you look at the next person who bumps into you.
It really does.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own.
Oh, I like this one.
We have established that the absolute peak, the highest realm of cultivation, requires willingly sacrificing your own honor and taking the blame to protect someone else's dignity.
Right.
So imagine a scenario where two people who have both achieved this exact same highest realm happen to collide on the street. What happens then?
That is a paradox right there.
Who takes the blame when both individuals are completely devoid of ego, actively competing to sacrifice their own pride for the sake of the other?